Okay, real quick, little update on the bass boat here. My 18-foot Ebbtide Dyna-Trak STE 181. Doing a renovation on it, I guess is what you'd call it. Kind of like an old house. Okay, so in the last video we talked about had the lower unit off, and the whole purpose of having the lower unit off is to find the seal in the upper water tube. Okay, so we're changing the copper water tube and we're replacing that. That's the new seal right there on the tube. Okay, and I finally got this thing apart just now, and so a couple things here to mention. I have just figured them out along the way as I went. Okay, so I did not unhook all the wiring. I only unhooked the bullet connectors here that I needed to unhook because those wires are pretty short. The other positive cable and the ground cable for the battery, plenty long. And then the power trim wire right here, it was plenty long too to pull the power head. So I got on Amazon, I bought the lifting adapter. I think you have to have that. I think that's the correct way to lift the motor. Lifts it, you know, at a pretty good center of gravity. The studs looked good. I heard some people say they had to replace some studs on their motor, but it looks good. And if we look up, I'll just try to show you a little bit here what's underneath. Okay, that's where the drive shaft is going in. And I got a little more work to do on cleaning off the gasket surface. I've been working underneath there for about half an hour trying to get all that clean. And the water tube, nothing up there for the water tube. You'll notice there's nothing there. It's just a drive shaft. Okay, exhaust chambers on the back of the motor. There they are right there. So kind of like not much to see here. Okay, drive shaft and exhaust. That's it on the bottom of the motor. Okay, so then when you pull the power head off, I'm going to move this for a second. When you try to get this kind of back into place here somewhat. So when you pull the power head off, okay, then you're looking at what I call the mid plate. I think a bunch of other people called it the mid plate also. And when you take it off, there's a hole for the drive shaft. You can see that. And then you see a bump right here. And that bump is where the water tube seals into this mid plate, okay? And I'm gonna just guess that possibly that's the P hole right there, that's gonna connect. I don't know for sure, maybe. I guess I'd have to research that a little bit more, but it's funny how it does coincide right here with this boss where the water tube seal rides. So when I pulled the power head off, I thought, oh great, I still can't get to the water tube. And I was trying to pull the lower housing off. And so here's what's behind the covers. Those are the lower motor mounts. And now that I've taken them apart and everything, I found out that, okay, I lost you. Okay, back to the lower motor mounts. I started to pull them. You cannot get the bolts out anyhow. So that's not gonna come off. And so I thought, well, how in the heck am I supposed to get this lower exhaust and drive shaft housing off? So then I thought, okay, I'm gonna come up here because I ordered a manual and it's not here yet. So then I came up here to the front, okay, where the steering arm is, and I thought, oh, well, there's two bolts up here. So I thought, well, I'll pull those bolts out, and then that would let me slide the lower motor mounts out. Well, that's all well and good, but you start turning these bolts up here, and then you find out, well, they're just turning and nothing's loosening up. And you're like, what the heck, I can't get to the nuts. So then you look on the top and you realize the nuts are inside these bosses. And it's like, well, why can I not get to them? All right, so you're gonna have to, so then you gotta pull the mid plate, okay? So you've already got, at that point, you've got the power head off, okay? It's gotta come off. And then you have 3 really long bolts that go back here. And then you have a bolt here, and then you move up here, and you have a bolt here, which was very corroded, by the way. I'm gonna be sure to put a big gob of anti-seize on that bolt when it goes back in there. So I took them out, and I couldn't figure out, they wouldn't split. I mean, I couldn't get it apart, and it felt like there were still bolts or something in it somewhere. And actually, there wasn't. So I chipped that right there. Sorry, you know, but I was prying on it and I chipped it a little bit, but it did pop. And when it popped, then this whole mid plate came loose. And when it did, it was like, holy crap, voila. You know, there was the revelation. Okay, so now with the mid plate off of the exhaust housing, okay, so the exhaust tube and the drive shaft housing, at this point, if you did want to take it off and you already got your lower motor mount bolts loose and got the nuts off, now you can come up here, and now here's the upper mounts. Okay, so you would pull these nuts off. Okay, and then once you did that, that would allow you to slide this whole exhaust tube housing, drive shaft housing. You would slide it backwards off of the boat and it would come off. Okay, but after all this BS, I don't need to. Okay, here it is right here. See that? That is the upper water tube seal. And here's what's funny, okay? It's pretty crunchy. It's really stiff, but it's there. And there is actually nothing wrong with it. And I think the whole problem with this boat, okay, I'm just gonna set that, okay? So that's the old seal. And there's the new one on the copper pipe. So what I found, if I can find it again, I already threw it in the trash. I hear it. Hear the damn trash can. I'm gonna find it. Okay, so here it is. Let's talk about this again. So here's the old tube that came off, and here is a seal. Okay, that seal was on the top. Notice it doesn't have the lip on the inside. Okay, it's just a plain seal. So this tube is beat to crap. It was cut off with a hacksaw, I guess, on this end. And I think the whole thing that I really found out is that whole tube is just too short. That tube should be 19 inches long. Okay, it's called the long tube for a reason. And what has happened is the tube was too short and it just couldn't reach. It just couldn't reach the seal in the top. So I hate to say this, but some jackass just thought it would be a good idea to stick another rubber seal on the end of it, I guess, and stick it up in there. So I'm going to show you here. It wasn't that much too short, okay, but it's short enough. It's just short enough that it wouldn't go in there. So, all right. Well, after all of this work, all of this to put this crazy brand new seal in, I mean, that is where it goes, just like that, and you press it into place, and voila, the new seal is in. So I will take it back out because I'm going to take a probably a wire wheel to get the exhaust, or not exhaust, just the gasket, paper gasket material off of there. Okay. Yeah. What a mess. Okay, I'm gonna have to shut that off. All right, well, I got some grease in my eye just now, I'm guessing, or dirt. Hurts like the dickens. Yeah, you know, if I put on eye protection like I always tell my daughter or everybody else to do, it would sure help, wouldn't it? All right, well, I got the gasket material removed from these surfaces, and I'll hit Black Hills Marine up first tomorrow. I'll call them in the morning and see if they happen to have that gasket. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why a person couldn't use like just a red silicone or something like that. But anyhow, I don't know. Therefore, I won't do something without knowing if it would work. Because I'm not taking this back apart, that's for sure. But anyhow, we'll see if I get the gasket tomorrow. I'd sure like to be able to find it locally and get this put back together and then possibly run it tomorrow. So, okay, anyhow, I'm gonna call it night. I'm gonna go jump in the shower. My hands are black and filthy, and I learned a lot about this motor today. And now I understand how it comes apart. And hopefully some of what I have showed you guys comes in handy to you as well. So again, this is a 1988 Mariner 150. Serial number is 0B347 something. That's the range of, or that's the serial number, you know, kind of range that it's in, is that 300,000, 0B 300,000 range. So anyhow, 1988, and except for some idiot that didn't know what they were doing with the water tube, and I apologize, I shouldn't talk like that about somebody, but I took the new seal back out just so that I could scrape that gasket material, and now it is going back into place. So there you go. Brand new upper water seal is in place. And you know what? I mean, now that I've done this once, I could probably pull this power head back off of here again in 15 minutes to 30 minutes if I ever had to do this again. So, and anyhow, the dealership told me that they wanted $1,000 to do it. So if you can do it, you can save yourself $1,000 to put a $3 upper water tube seal in place and solve your cooling problems. So, which actually I've never seen this motor run, so this is all, I hope it runs. And if it doesn't, we're gonna do a video on replacing sleeves and pistons, I guess. So there you go. Okay. With that, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to go jump in the shower. I am tired of this, dirty, and been mowing the yard today and doing a bunch of work on the tractor. So, all right. Talk to you soon. Thanks for watching my videos.